Oh.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
The only one that's doing Zoom is here from the commission. But the wait. Yeah,
Okay.
we're live.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger. I'm chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. And today is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, the special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This year being conducted in the Shelton City Hall Auditorium via Zoom and through a phone link is hereby called to order at 6:07 p.m. This meeting may also be viewed live and remotely on YouTube. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I invite all those participating remotely to do the same. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll start off with a roll call of the commission. Please verbally indicate that you are present when your name is called. Commissioner Kelly,
Present.
Commissioner Lascos,
Present.
Commissioner Amato. Here. Alternate Commissioner Donato,
Yeah.
myself, Commissioner Harger, Mr. Rossetti, our administrator.
Isn't.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Castro, our assistant administrator.
Present.
Mr. Pianico, our consultant.
Here.
Ms. Bernassos, our recording secretary.
Present.
Ms. Charbonneau, our stenographer.
Present.
Okay, and for the record, Commissioners Parkins and Tiki and alternate Commissioner Nafrio are not available for this evening's meeting. Commissioner Donato, you're being seated for Commissioner Tiki.
Yes.
Okay, a couple points before continuing with today's agenda. Ms. Castro will act as a Zoom meeting host. Commissioners will be able to make comments throughout the meeting, and the chair asks that you please identify yourself and wait to be recognized to make sure we're not all speaking over each other and to make sure our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. On the agenda this evening are the continuation of two public hearings, and this is the protocol we will be following for each. Ms. Castro will indicate if any written comments were received from members of the public no later than 24 hours before the start of this evening's meeting to be read into the record. The commission can ask questions during the applicant's comments or at the conclusion of the comments, and the applicant and or associates can answer the commission's questions at the time they're presented or at the conclusion of the comments. After the applicant's presentation has concluded, the chair will recognize those members of the public who have indicated they wish to address the commission on any new material since the last time the application was on the agenda. After the last person from the public has been given the opportunity to speak, the applicant's attorney and or associates will be given the opportunity to address any comments or questions from the public. If the commission feels further information is needed from the applicant, the chair will ask for a motion to continue the public hearing. If a public hearing remains open, the commission is not allowed to make any public comment, discuss any part of the applicant's and or his associate's presentation, or receive any additional information from anyone. If the commission feels the applicant and or his associates have answered all questions and have addressed all concerns from the commission and or public, the chair will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. The commission can choose to discuss the application immediately following the close of the public hearing or at an upcoming commission meeting. In either case, the commission will be asked by the chair on how it wants to proceed. There are members of the public who do choose to speak at the point in the public hearing when the chair calls for public comment. The public is asked to note the following. The speaker order is as follows. Elected officials of the city of Shelton attending in person, elected officials of the city of Shelton participating via Zoom, and those participating via phone. Then we will go to non-elected persons from the in the auditorium via Zoom and then by phone. Speakers will be allowed 5 minutes to present their comments. Those present in the auditorium that would like to make comments to the commission need to indicate their name and address on the speaker sign-up sheet on the table in the front of the room. Those participating via Zoom will need to use Zoom's raise your hand feature, and those participating via phone will need to dial *9 to be identified when asked by the chair. After you are identified by the Zoom host, please state and spell your name and your address to assist the recording secretary and stenographer when the minutes and transcript of the public hearing are being prepared. Please direct your comments and questions to the commission only, not to the applicant and/or his associates. Comments from the public should address only new material submitted since the last time the application was on the agenda, address specific criteria of the zoning regulations, the merits of the application, and be new information, not a repeat of comments previously presented. And members of the public are expected to practice appropriate etiquette by being quiet, observant, and respectful. Disruptive attendees may be removed from verbally participating. Our first agenda item is the continuation of the public hearing for application 2313, Dominic Thomas for Fountain Square LLC at 745 to 795 Bridgeport Avenue. Now, Assessor's Map 21, Lot 18 for major modification of a PDD, modification of initial development plans, and final site development plan approval, including removal of the proposed hotel, office building, and fountain for replacement with 145 residential units, including 18% affordable units, on-site parking, and a public gathering area. This application was accepted for review on August 9th, 2023. On the city's website are the third amended statement of uses and standards, assorted site and floor plans, different building elevations, traffic study, newspaper and magazine articles, letters from Fountain Square tenants, and a letter from attorney Joel Green on behalf of 3 Enterprise Drive LLC, Shelton LLC. Ms. Castro, or any other reports, materials, or correspondence received within the time period for this application that had not yet been posted to the city's website that we need to acknowledge?
No.
Okay, thank you. And is the applicant present? Please
Yes,
identify for the record, and please proceed with a review of the new material that was submitted that includes the rear elevations, the roof lines, and the increased parking on site. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Dominic Thomas, Cohen and Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant. Since the last meeting and posted on the website as evidence of it, we have, my clients have went into discussion with Robert Cinto, and they resolved the issues that Mr. Cinto brought up, and his attorney submitted a letter withdrawing their opposition to the proposal. The basis of that was Mr. Cinto did not want the vehicular easement to continue between Fountain Square and 3 Enterprise. So after some discussions, the pedestrian easement remains, the vehicular easement was terminated, and as a result of that, Fountain Square had to give 3 Enterprise an additional parking easement for 3 parking spaces on 3 Enterprise, which encroach upon the Fountain Square, the FS Shelton property, excuse me. In addition to that, as a result of the comments and as a result of the discussions and referencing what I believe the Madam Chairman, requested or asked about back in 2018, the clients, in addition to that, as part of the budget for the apartments, were able to also propose, and is on the site plans, and I'll leave it up to Pat Rose to explain further. We have now added a second pedestrian access up to, this one is a walking, not a handicap one, but is a walking access by extending the sidewalk on Parrot Drive from the Parrot Drive entrance all the way up to the traffic circle, which then connects it with the road and sidewalk system within the corporate towers and the Renaissance. As you are aware and already constructed is a sidewalk from the Bridgeport Avenue Parrot Drive intersection up to the entrance. There will obviously be a crosswalk across the entrance from Parrot Drive, and then a new sidewalk all the way up. Further, based on the comments that were made by the individual whose business was up on Parrot Drive, the somewhat rickety page fence will be replaced with a, I believe a black vinyl page fence along that entire area. Also, as a result of the comments, there was a redesign of the apartments to respond to some of the questions that were the points that were made at the last hearing. I'll leave that up again to Pat to go over that. And in addition to that, a water feature was re-entered, and a parking, not parking, I'm sorry, an area for tables and seating was re-entered next to the smaller water feature that is at the in between the apartments and the Panera site. And again, that'll be explained. In addition to the revised site plans addressing all of these issues, there are revised elevations and floor plans. And in addition to that, there is a packet of renderings, which gives you a full rendering of actually what the entire site looks like, how it interacts with the corporate towers. And finally, the final one is a rendering of the water feature. So before we get to Pat, I guess we'll deal with the renderings afterwards. I can screen share on that, or Pat can screen share. I did the packet, but at this point, I would turn it over to Pat Rose to go over the revised engineering plans and the revised architectural plans.
Okay, Attorney Thomas, is there anyone else that we need to elevate at some point to be?
I don't know if Manny's here.
Manny Silva, if he's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I think David Goodyear is present in the auditorium.
Yes. Okay, so Mr. Rose, go right ahead.
Yep. Pat Rose from Rose Tizo and Company, 35 Brentwood Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut. Alexandra, if I could share my screen, I'll have a packet to go through.
I believe.
Should be able to do that. Very good. Yes. Let's zoom in a little bit. So, in taking comments that were given at the initial public hearing, we've made several changes to the site plan. First of which, you can see that the pedestrian access has been retained and the vehicular access has been removed between Enterprise 3 and our site. So now we have parking that goes all the way across and closes that off. The other major change that has happened is that there are parking underneath the building, and there are 4 stories of apartments above that parking level. So we still have the building is broken up into 3 pieces. This side, which is A, has 41 parking spaces in it. The side that's B on the other side, which has parking, has 49 spaces. And in each one of these garage areas, there is a trash room adjacent to the elevator. So people would bring their garbage down, put them in the trash room, and then staff would bring them out to the dumpster locations in order for the trash to be picked up. Fairly straightforward. What we've done as part of this with the building is we've dropped the lobby, and common spaces are still on the ground floor. So that this breaks the 2 buildings apart. You have access from this ground floor to the pool, to our amenity space in the back, where we have some grills, picnic tables, fire pit, and seating, and then, it's a grassed area around.
Mr. Rose, what did you say was still on the first floor? The lobby and what?
The lobby and common areas, common
Okay.
spaces, which I'll show on the floor plan.
Yep.
What we've done now with the area that was once a much larger fountain feature is we have created a fountain on the lower level with a water feature that sprays upwards. We've shown a back wall that has the name of the development, Fountain Square, on it. We have some tables and chairs and seating area out in front of that between the fountain and the Panera parking lot. And then we still have the accessible ramp that goes back up, and you have a stairway on the other side. What Dominic was speaking to is we've added this sidewalk along Parrot Drive that goes all the way down to the entrance to the development off of Parrot Drive. And then there's a new fence that gets built along with that sidewalk.
So I noticed for safety reasons, somewhat of it's not really wrought iron, but there's an iron fence that goes along the sidewalks so that somebody couldn't walk down into the foliage that's pictured there.
That's correct. Yeah, for safety reasons, there's rock cuts on the other side of that foliage we want to protect people from. So let me get out of here and go down. I'm going to spin through this, and I can let Manny speak to it, the site plans in a little bit. And I'll go back to the building. What's up? So our building, main entrance to the building, which has, foyer, fitness area, meeting room, offices. On this side, package room and mail. On this side, we have a club room. We have a small bar and a club seating area, men's and women's changing rooms, which are be associated with the pool out to the back. So that is the first floor that splits to two parking areas. We've got an L-shaped parking area here under building A, elevator here, stairway here, and your trash room.
So when you enter, if you were to be parking outside, you
You're going
could
to enter.
walk in, and on the left and right side of that common area is the street level, so to speak, parking spaces.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So if you're entering both of these wings at the rear of the building, and they are dead ends, and there would be assigned parking in there, and you come back out. Again, we have elevator, stairway, and the trash room in this little knuckle here of this Y-shaped section, the V-shaped section. We have a unit count on this plan, which talks about 148 units, which I'll explain where those extra 3 come from. And 148 units, and I believe with the 18%, we come out to 27 affordable units. The breakdown of that 148 units, it would be 60 one-bedroom units, 17 one-bedroom plus office units, so that's really 77 one-bedrooms, and then 71 two-bedroom units. So it's almost 50-50. It's a 45-55 split. And the unit sizes that we had talked about previously have not changed. The one bedrooms are from 700 square feet to 850, and the two bedrooms range from 950 to 1280 square feet. The typical floor plan. This is the first floor. Has 2-bedroom units interspersed along here, and then there are 1-bedroom units interspersed. The only place that we lose a unit on this first floor, we end up with 37 units, is because this club area is 2 stories. And in this, because we've had this common space area on the first floor, we've had to add an elevator for that common space. So it is separate so that you can access that common space from anywhere, from either wing of the building without having to go into the garage. Same thing for here, 2-bedroom units, and then 1-bedroom units across the front. The typical second and third floors are the same as the first, except there is a unit in the center where this elevator is. There's a unit there. And then on the next floor, which is the fourth, we have removed any units off of the front of this and created a deck. Going to be a roof deck on this fourth floor, which is accessible by this corridor. And we did that and maintained 3 units on the fourth floor in the back so that we could have access to one side of the building to the other side of the building without breaking the building and having to not be able to follow through, with access from one side to the other. The elevations are somewhat similar, but I think the best, I believe that we posted the renderings. I don't know if everybody has seen them. I will use those because it's a lot easier to describe what's going on than flat elevations. So this being the first rendering I'm showing shows a bird's eye view that shows the access drive coming up to the platform where the residential is, and that you turn and front entrance is here. This is a 4-story section right here. These are 5-story pieces on the other side. So there's a break in the building. We're continuing to do towers that are reinforcing the corners of the building and the gables that move along. So then you go all the way around the building and come back around this side. The dog park's over here. There's a grass area on the side of that. You can see Panera, where Panera is. This is where the fountain is at the bottom here, the lower level that squirts up, and the main fountain square here. And there's some seating outside of that. And the main retail building is over here. And Goddard School is over in this corner. So as we drive up that road, this is what we see. You can actually see the residential building and corporate park behind it. You see the 4-story with the roof deck here, and the other higher 5-story buildings. What we've done with material, you can get a better view of the fountain down here. The fountain splitting up and some seating. Get a better view of the materials that we're using. What we've done is we've reinforced and brought these towers to the ground at the garage area, all brick, up to the top fourth floor where these are shakes, and then the gable above. And again, we use brick on the lower levels, and then siding on the upper levels. Tried to use the same brick that we've used in the buildings that are on site. Use a light color siding to emulate the ethos that's being used on site, and then even a darker color for the shakes, which actually is used in the Panera building, uses that darker color. So it's interspersed on the site. So, and then we're using black windows, same thing that we have on the retail buildings, all have black window frames. So we've incorporated the materials that are being used. And one other thing is we're using at the bottom of these columns and these towers, we are using the same black granite that's used on the lower piece of the retail building. A view of the rear courtyard, where you can see the common spaces in this location. pool being here, seating areas, and then there's grill stations, and then there's a fire pit in this corner, and then grassed area on that side, and interspersed in that courtyard. There's a nice space behind that. That's it for the architecture. I invite Manny if he wants to go through any of the site drawings. I can stop sharing if you need me to, Manny.
Yeah, that'd be great. This is Manny Silva from Rose T-Zone Company. I'm the civil engineer on the project. I'm just going to pretty much go over what some things that were changed during our last go through. One of the things is, as Pat was detailing, is that we have put all the parking under the building. That's one thing, and that's the main thing here. So you have your entrance, you're coming up from Bridgeport Avenue. You're going to circulate. There's 49 spaces under this wing here, and then 41 spaces here where you come in from the north wing here. We also added a sidewalk, which this is now, instead of being a vehicle and pedestrian access, as Attorney Thomas stated, it is now just a pedestrian access to the corporate towers. And that will continue to be here in this corner. We are also asked to, hold on a second here. We were also asked to extend the sidewalk along Parrot Drive and then add a new fence. Now this fence is going to be a black metal picket fence, similar to what we're using on the site. So it'll be a decorative fence, decorative metal fence along this sidewalk here, and that will actually connect the Renaissance Tower area here and then these industrial areas to the west of us down the sidewalk on Parrot Drive and then into the property that way.
Mr. Silva,
Yep.
hang on a minute because we lost the visual on the big projection screen.
Okay.
It's back on the monitors.
Is it on there now?
No, not on the big
Now we're
projection.
there.
Now it's back. Okay.
Yep.
So-
So I was just showing that we're adding a concrete sidewalk along Parrot Drive here to the cul-de-sac, where that cul-de-sac terminates at the Renaissance Towers here. I don't know if maybe I'll just go over again that the circulation for the underground parking is up through here, and then here's the entrance to the south wing for 49 spaces here, and then the entrance to the north wing for 41 spaces here.
We lost you again.
Sorry, go ahead.
We lost you again.
Oh, yeah?
This is on our end. Our monitors are resetting.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah. All right. It's back. Go ahead.
Okay. So as in the rendering, there's a dog park here, and then there's going to be a grass area in this area here. I've also added a little more detail on the amenity space behind the apartment building. And if you go to SP1B, I have actually an inset here where you can see we have some stone patios here and here along outside of this and a seat wall around a natural turf area with a fire pit area here. So people can sit around. It's going to be a gas fire pit. And then we have 2 areas here to have like picnics outside, and then 2 grills. It'll be landscaped. You could see that in the rendering. The renderer did a good job of showing what this space is going to be in the 3 dimensions. I think that's most of what the changes are. Oh, and then we had this fountain, which now is going to be a pool at the bottom with upward jets, similar to what's at the entrance here in this area. And then that back wall will say Fountain Square, and then we'll have some tables and chairs or tables and seating here in front of that water feature. And then as in the rendering, you saw that switchback stair here, and then that stair down here to kind of connect the 2 plateaus between the residential plateau here up top and then the lower one below. So if there's any questions, I wouldn't mind answering them. Is there any questions from the commission?
Commissioner Amato does.
Sure.
The fence was at one, the fence along Parrot Drive was at one point described as chain link, black chain link, and you're saying that it's gonna be a
Sure.
fence, which sounds better to me, but.
Correct. Yeah. So there's currently a chain link fence. It's very run down. It's actually falling over in some sections up here on top of Parrot Drive. And we'll replace that with, you can see that in the rendering too, where we have, it's going to be a black metal fence that has black pickets. It's not going to be a solid privacy fence or anything like that. You can still see through it, but it'll be a black metal picket fence.
Is that similar to the one that's along the driveway and on top of the fountain?
Correct. Correct. We're
Okay.
going to use similar fencing throughout the whole project.
Any other commissioners? have
Around
any
the dog
questions?
park, you have a significant cut and graded area for the dog park area, which I think, if I'm reading your contours right, is substantially lower now than Parrot Drive.
Correct. So Parrot Drive,
What are we doing for vehicular protection?
on top or
No,
on,
in
or
that
below?
area where the drop off is so close to the road.
So this here will have we'll have fence on top, a sidewalk, and then there's the curbing from Parrot Drive. There's still, I'd say, I can measure it, but there's still a good amount of there's a rock face here that's there today. Then from here below is a retaining wall. And then the park itself is fenced off. We have a fence on top of this grade here, which is going to be the metal picket fence.
I'm more concerned with the safety of the vehicles.
I mean, if you think that you need an additional guardrail up here or something, but
I suspect you do. That dog park area was not there when it was a UI facility, was it? That was created
correct. There was, so when
before you had a significant green area, so that even though there was a drop off, it wasn't a precipitous drop. But now you've created a precipitous drop of 25, 30 feet.
yeah, but we have enough, I think there's enough offset in horizontal separation. As you can see, that's rendering. There's going to be like a 15, 20 feet of ledge up here on top where there'd be a fence on the other side of this. And then there's a sidewalk and then there's the road.
I'm just concerned about the proximity of the face of the rock cut to the travelway of Parrot Drive. If a vehicle, for whatever reason, loses control and goes through that little fence, what's to stop it from going over the edge?
Right. I mean, if that's a concern, we can definitely put a guardrail at the base of the fence outside of it.
Somewhere, somehow, at least in that particular area. I don't know about the rest of it because it's very difficult. You've represented that the contours are not the true contours of what's there now. So it's hard to come up with any problem.
Right. So you can see here from the aerial, this is the area that you're speaking of. So right now this is the existing fence with the barbed wire up on top. We're going to replace that with a metal fence, and then there's going to be a sidewalk here. And basically what you see here in this picture, just on the other side of this brush is where that drop off happens. So they would have to go over this curb, over the sidewalk, through a fence, and then these trees are going to be up here. And then they would have to, that's when they would fall off the edge. But if you'd like, we could have, as you can see a fence here, this will be replaced by a decorative metal fence. We can have a galvanized guardrail or a wood guardrail here at the base of it, if need be.
Yeah, this Attorney Tom, that's something that would be discussed with the traffic authority. This is a town road. So if the traffic authority and the city engineer feels it's necessary, it's been that way with a rickety old fence for a number of years, and there was still a drop off.
It didn't have that precipitous drop off before.
It had a pretty good drop off. If someone went through that fence, they were going to go a short distance, maybe a little longer distance and drop off. But whatever the traffic authority and the city engineer wants, we'll accommodate them.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioner or Mr. Panico?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Go right ahead.
Could Pat address the building heights? Because
Yeah, the
we're
building
pushing
height,
70 feet now, it looks like.
that we are at 68 feet to the very tippity top of the peaked roof. At the
Right.
EU building, it's 56 feet.
Right, but our zoning always recognizes height to the highest feature. But so we're dealing with 68 feet on the two
68,
wings and
correct, 68 feet to the peak. To
and
the ridge.
61 feet or so on the middle part.
If you did an average of those two, the middle between the 56 and the 68, you're at 62.
Okay. Okay. And my other concern is the one I expressed early on in the whole public hearing process, is that you've got a building that's 500 feet long. And I don't think the modifications have taken that edge off of it. But
Well, I believe that there certainly is a distinct drop, especially in that front elevation between the 4-story and 5-story building. You can't see the rear portion of it from anywhere unless you're in a helicopter.
well, I think you have the rear elevation, didn't you?
Correct. The rear elevation you'll see, and the reason I've kept those 3 apartments up there is to be able to connect from one side to the other on that 4th floor.
And then my other question architecturally was, if I understood you right, you're going to collect the rubbish at the garage level and then move the rubbish over to the dumpsters?
That's correct.
Why not just pick up the rubbish at the garage level? So you don't need to have this outside rubbish.
It is a possibility. We've got to go over that with the carting people local to make sure that we've got the height to do that, because that has some constraints inside the building.
Mm-hmm. Dominic, I didn't take the time to go look at the existing statement of uses. Are we okay on the height? Or does that have to be modified?
I would have to take a look at it. I don't have it. If you give me a minute, I can access it.
That's all right. Just as long as you're aware of it.
Yeah,
I didn't take the
we could certainly adjust it accordingly. And also with respect to the height, it is, and I know it's big, but it has a view of a lot of stuff above it that stretches above it, being the Renaissance and the corporate towers. As you're looking up, it does take away from it because you're looking at buildings that go above it. Even here, even from inside, but even from down at Bridgeport Avenue.
That's a different.
But
Yeah, I'm just saying. it's different.
if this were the approved, is whatever the name of this complex is going to be, are they going to be looking to identify themselves on the fountain?
I'm sorry, you mean on the fountain down below?
Yeah.
Yes, as a matter of fact, if I can give you even a better, Pat, can you stop, or Manny, stop screen sharing and let me pull something up? So here's a cropped version of the fountain. Is this what you're talking about, Tony?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, there is.
are the apartments going to be called Fountain Square Apartments?
I would assume so, but Dave Gunier is there. He may be able to answer it. I would assume they would be called Fountain Square
Okay,
Apartments.
my concern is I don't think it would be desirable to have any kind of identification of that sort on the fountain. The fountain
Yeah.
is the fountain. It's the fountain for the whole complex.
Right.
It shouldn't be a basis for signage other than Fountain Square, of course.
Oh, okay, we thought this looked nice.
Well, it does
It
look
was.
nice. I'm just saying, it shouldn't get messed up with.
You shouldn't have another apartment name underneath that.
Exactly.
Or-
Right.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. No, the apartments are Fountain Square Apartments. I'm sure there'll be something of the apartments at Fountain Square, some sort of a small sign as you're entering, you know what I mean? Other than that, we haven't really gotten that far yet, but I don't think we're not gonna call it the Dominic Apartments.
Okay. I just don't want to see any kind of advertising or identification creeping into the fountain structure.
No, we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna leave it at Fountain Square. And you could see obviously here the water feature that we put back in to accommodate that, and also to have the switch back, you get a little better look at that.
Okay, Mr. Gunia is here, so he can identify himself for the record and make any comments.
Hi, David Gunya, Highview Commercial, here at Fountain Square. Yeah, just to underscore Dominic's statement earlier, there will not be apartments named on the Fountain Square back wall in front of the fountains. We will have a small monument sign as you approach the apartment community somewhere. It'll be much smaller in size. And I believe the name Fountain Square Apartments or some version of that will be used here.
Mhm. Okay,
That's it.
thank you, Mr. Gunia.
I have one question.
Sure.
Overall, since the conception of putting apartments in lieu of a hotel and an office building, has the apartments footprint ever changed, or has been the same since conception?
The footprint as we have shown it hasn't changed, no.
It just got higher, right?
We raised it up in order to, put parking underneath the building, correct?
So it has the same number of levels as for residential.
Yes, it has four levels of residential above the parking.
All right, and
or the
what,
ground.
I don't know if you can do this, but what would have been the difference between this and putting in a hotel and office building as far as square foot area of building?
That's,
Obviously, this is more, am I correct?
yeah, I'm gonna say yes, but you had a 3-story office building. And you had a
Yeah,
4-story.
the
hotel.
office was 19,000 square feet. I'm not sure of
What
the
19,000 total,
hotel was.
Total,
Dominic, 19,000 total with all the 3 floors?
The office, 19.5, I think.
Footprint. I'm talking about footprint.
yeah,
Oh, you're talking about footprint.
I'd have to calculate. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
The one final request that I had is I would like to see a cross-section through Parrot Drive and the dog park area.
Mhm. That's a good idea.
I'm sorry?
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Pianico.
Mhm.
Okay, Commissioner Laskos, do you have any questions before we move on?
No.
Commissioner Donato, Commissioner Amato?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I will then recognize anybody here in the auditorium that wishes to address the commission. And we'll start off with any elected officials that are present. First one on the list is Anthony Simonetti. Mr. Simonetti, can you sit over here, please, so you're on camera? And identify yourself for the record.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm Anthony Simonetti. I reside at 6 Hayfield Drive, Shelton, Connecticut. At this time, I would like to say that I'm in opposition to the apartment buildings. I think we should go back to the original plan for a hotel and a business area. This part of Shelton should be for commerce, restaurants, R&D, that type of thing. I don't think we should put any more apartments there. They should be in other sections of the city. I feel that these apartment buildings will add also to our school system, the cost of running it. So I would like to explain that I wish the commission would not approve this project as it is set at this time. And at this time, I'd also like permission to speak. Unfortunately, some of the other aldermen could not be here, but they did send me their comments, and I'd like to, if I could read them to you.
Okay.
First is from Chris Balamachi. She's at 15 Cottage Court, Shelton, Connecticut. She's opposed the area should continue to be restricted to commercial business. Having apartments will strain our school system and impact the congestion of the area. Thank you very much. The next one is from John Anglis, President of the Board of Aldermen. He is located at 676 Long Hill Avenue, Shelton, Connecticut. John F. Anglis Jr. I am in opposition to the application for apartments at Fountain Lakes. Replacing the original proposed hotel. The hotel was a use in conformance with the Shelton Comprehensive Plan of Conservation and Development. The apartments are not. As such, I want to be on record as opposing this request of the applicant. The third person I'd like to speak for is Eric McPherson, also on the Board of Aldermen. He's the vice president. He says, I am unable to get to the meeting tonight, but request that my opposition to any apartments at Fountain Square. My reasoning is that it doesn't fit in with a retail complex, and it adds significantly to our WPCA capacity. Also, my consistent opposition to apartments on Bridgewater Avenue, which should be for commercial, retail, corporate, and R&D. And they both say thank you for letting, but I want to thank you for the time to have me put them in. And I'd like to take the moment, if I can, say thank you to all the commissioners that are here online for all you do. It's a very difficult job, but you are one of our most important boards, and I appreciate everything you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Simonetti. Aren't any other elected officials in the auditorium? Are there any elected officials participating via Zoom or phone?
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll just go back to regular public, non-elected officials. I see no one on the list signed up here in the auditorium. If there's anyone participating remotely, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone to be recognized.
There's no one.
There's no one. Okay.
I don't know.
Satellite not in the right place.
We're back.
Okay. All right. So you're sure nothing but
There's
nobody
no-
there? Okay. So would the applicant like to respond to the public's comments?
Most certainly, I will respond. First of all, I have great respect for Alderman Simonetti and the other aldermen. But as you know, I have no issue. He's usually being very direct. The bottom line is, first of all, there will be apartments here. Apartments are a necessity to the financial success of this project, which was dragged out of the doldrums that it was in, impacted by the pandemic and other matters. You have seen the letters of the tenants. You have seen Mr. Cinto withdraw his opposition to it. You have seen the evidence that was presented on work, live, play, and you saw the evidence presented on Quarry Walk up in Oxford. This type of development is the future of commercial development. The issue of no apartments on Bridgeport Avenue, I would suggest that the aldermen take the time to go and visit the businesses on Bridgeport Avenue and ask them what their opinion is of that. The marketing study, that the statements of the aldermen have really no basis in any evidentiary way in marketing or other things to say that of course you can have a hotel or of course you can have retail, they'll flow in. That is not the case. That is not what's happening. And the fact of the matter is that the future of these type of proposals are work, live, play. The idea of impacting the school system has been the boogeyman of NIMBY in the last several years. And I think this commission has pretty much realized that it has no basis in fact, none whatsoever when you're talking about apartments. I believe the last statistic I saw for the city of Shelton was that in the last decade, its enrollment has gone down 1,000. And as people know, when your enrollment goes down, your cost per student goes up. So that is, again, one of the phoniest numbers around. But the idea that apartments generate children that impact the school system, if that is the case, then I suggest the alderman request that the Planning and Zoning Commission impose a moratorium on 3 and 4 family colonials, because that, by statistics, empirical evidence, partnerships for a strong community, that is what what generates school children. And finally, the alderman approved an affordable housing plan drafted by this commission. Downtown is pretty much saturated with apartments. There may be a few more small ones. I don't think the aldermen are about to sell off the park for somebody to build a large apartment complex. So you have a situation where you now have an applicant coming in and proposing apartments and at least addressing the percentage, the full percentage of 18% affordable units. If you bar apartments on Bridgeport Avenue, which still has room for apartments, if you barred them, then you're not going to have any affordable apartments. There aren't too many more left. You have the project you approved on River Road, you got affordable. Other projects are affordable. And what you're going to do if you take that attitude is force developers into 8-30G. You're going to tell them, you're telling them, do that. And we don't care. We don't want control like we have. We don't want to have the exchange and the benefits that come out of this. With the apartments, you're getting a sidewalk all the way up, which is something that was asked for way back when and couldn't be done under the financial capacity of the original approval. It now can be done if the apartments are approved. The fence enhanced. The tenants want it. Mr. Cinto has withdrawn his opposition. His thing has been corrected. And all of the evidence in planning, all of the evidence in appropriate land use, and all of the evidence to address affordable housing and our housing crisis really speak to the fact that this should be approved, not that it should be denied. There is no impact in the school system from apartments. That's been proven. That's the empirical evidence. And it's hard to argue you're going to have an impact on a school system when that school system has lost probably, I think, close to 800 to 1,000 enrollment over the last 10 years, and when the demographics of schools is to predict future decreases in enrollment, or at the very least, stabilization of enrollment. And finally, you have to be really not following what's going on, to understand that we need housing. And the best is to create housing that interacts with your business community and your corporate community. The idea that we want Bridgeport Avenue only to be commercial and office ignores the reality of the current market. Nobody brought that up when Mr. Cinto did his 16-story tower. And the apartments that have gone in have been extremely successful, extremely maintained, well maintained, and have attracted residents that are of a quality as this one would, that would spend money in the businesses along Bridgeport Avenue and in the rest of Shelton. And if the aldermen, I know they've been requested by the downtown businessmen, would work about getting the trolley or whatever and connecting Bridgeport Avenue to downtown so that people can have even more access to downtown, you'd even have more happy business people. And really finally, these people work, live, play. This will be, Fountain Square will be looked at with the same admiration that Quarry Walk in Oxford is looked at, and how it's brought together a situation where you could live there, eat there, shop there. Granted, you don't have a supermarket, but there's one right down the road, very short distance away, and either take the elevator or walk up and go to your doctors in Corporate 4. So I don't think the opposition and the comments are well-founded, well-taken, or evidentially based. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Thomas. All right, so any further questions from the commission for the applicant? Okay. And Mr. Panico, do you have any final questions or comments?
No, the only thing that I think maybe the applicant could explain for those of us who are not totally familiar with it, well, how does the connection between the walkway being proposed on Parrot hook up to the easement being proposed in the corner of the site there? Is it, you go to the garage or something on the other building?
Right. The description that was done with respect to that when we did it back a few years ago, you would be able to walk and go onto the sidewalk of the Enterprise 3 garage. You can either, there's a couple of doors to enter. I believe the elevator is in the back left corner. So there is a walkway along the edge of the garage. You can walk around the garage, get to the elevator, go up to the elevator. You come out on the upper floor. You walk out on the level, a parking level that you see when you go in between Corporate 1 and Corporate 2. So you're right there. You're right at that point. And then you have Corporate 1, Corporate 2, or you can walk through the sidewalks to go in between there. So that was the intent then. You have the access on the first floor to the elevator.
But
as to create a handicapped access.
But as it stands, the way it's proposed here, the sidewalk terminates at the cul-de-sac. Correct? Is that why those lines?
Sidewalk terminates at the cul-de-sac.
Your
Wait a second.
proposed
Wait a second. We're talking about two different things. I thought you were talking about the pedestrian access to 3 Enterprise.
No. Mr. Panico was talking about if you walked up Parrot Drive on the sidewalk, you would end up past the light industrial buildings on the left, and you would enter a cul-de-sac and straight ahead.
Yes. If that at that point, it becomes the property of the Renaissance.
Right. Okay.
So once you get to the sidewalk, yes, you have to walk as people do. You have to walk on the through the Renaissance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's an entirely different piece of property, so that's not what we can.
Yeah, right. It's not our property. And keep in mind that that property, which was at the end of the cul-de-sac, which was at one point owned by UI, and the original purchasers of Fountain Square, was as part of agreements with Mr. Cinto, deeded to Mr. Cinto, who explained that he used it because he had a agreement with UI.
Mhm.
And,
Okay, so,
you know, and yeah, so we gave it to him.
All right, Attorney Thomas, rather, staying on the subject of sidewalks, on sheet SP-1, right where it says Bridgeport Avenue, is identified right in the center. Right below it says future sidewalk. So what's the current situation with that? Is it still something in the future, or is this something that's going to be done?
Okay, I don't have the sheet in front of you. Can I pull it? You want me to, or have Manny or somebody pull it
Yeah,
up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Okay, I'll stop share. Hold on, Manny, then.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One second.
Yeah, the one that exists to the left of the new driveway into the complex is existing. But it's
Right.
on the going north.
All right.
Yep. I think what she's talking about, this is Manny
Yeah.
Silva from Rostizo. She's speaking, Dominic, about this sidewalk from the main entrance
Yes,
north
The requirement-
towards the diner.
the requirement was at the time, after some discussion in the original approval, that the clients had to prepare it. The then developers of Pound Square had to prepare it for the installation of a sidewalk. In other words, it had to be accommodated in all the road stuff and everything, so that there could be a sidewalk down to there if and when, as the plan was, for there to be a sidewalk across Woodside. So it is prepared, as you can see, it's leveled, it's grass. The state didn't require widening into it. And then if the whole point was, is there ever going to be a sidewalk at Woodside Plaza? And if there was a sidewalk then at Woodside Plaza, would there be a sidewalk at what was then the Sears Hardware, now the CVS and Chipotle? And then a sidewalk in front of, which is apparently leveled, to have a sidewalk also in front of the Hampton Inn, which would then connect it to,
Commerce
what
Drive.
is it? X, you know, at the end. And then that would connect up to the sidewalk that goes up Commerce Drive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
they wanted, your commission wanted to ensure that at the very least, that was pre-prepped for it, and it was a requirement of the developer. So if in fact, if all those other sidewalks go in, then the developer is required to put that sidewalk in. One of the comments that was made at that time was they didn't want the sidewalk to go down there and end, because if people then walk down it, they would feel inclined to try to cross Bridgeport Avenue, not at a crosswalk. At the very least, up here with the new light at Parrot Drive, you have walking, you have the ability to hit and get across the road.
Yeah, I don't want this to turn into a dog chasing the tail and one property owner telling the other property owner, well, I'm not putting in my sidewalk until you put your sidewalk in. So it's going to be
We're
something.
not telling them that. And if the sidewalks, I know there was a lot of discussion about the issue of the right of way along Woodside Plaza. I really wasn't privy to that, but apparently along Woodside Plaza, the right of way actually, I think there was some comment that the right of way actually extends into their parking,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
the state right of way.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I mean, we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. That's not our point. You asked about what happened back then. That's how it was approved.
Yeah, my point is, I just want to make sure, while it says future sidewalk, at some point, we would definitely like to see that done, and we will be discussing it with Woodside Plaza is now doing facade updates. So
Right.
we're gonna be moving along with that. Okay, any other final comments, questions, or concerns from the commission? Mr. Panico?
No, I think we've hit everything I was interested in.
Okay. All right, so what's the consensus of the commission? Do you want to continue the public hearing? Knowing that we don't have a couple of commissioners tonight, or are you comfortable with closing the public hearing and relying on them to listen to the meeting on the YouTube recorded channel?
Doesn't seem like there's any more,
Information.
yeah, that they
Mhm.
would be bringing forward, so
Mhm.
should close it.
Okay. Any objections to that, Commissioner Laskos?
No, I think we can close the public hearing.
Okay. So is there any commissioner that would like to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, there's a motion to close from Commissioner Amato. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Kelly has seconded. So on the motion to close the public hearing from Commissioner Amato, seconded by Commissioner Kelly, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Donato,
Yes.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. And so the motion to close the public hearing has been approved by a vote of 5-0.
Very good. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
You're very welcome. So we're going to, this particular item will be on the agenda of an upcoming meeting for discussion by the members of the commission on how it wants to proceed. So our next, agenda item is application, the continuation of, the public hearing for application 2314, Dominic Thomas, Daybreak Ridge LLC at 84 River Road, Assessors Map 94, Lot 89 for Plan Development District and final site development plan approval on 12.39 acres to expand the approved 36-unit condominium development, which were P&Z applications 1906 and 2117, with an additional 28 units for a total of 64 units with on-site parking. This particular application was accepted for review on August 9th, 2023 on the city's website. At the beginning of the public hearing on August 30th were the initial and corrected zone change application, statement of uses standards, original and revised site plans, building elevations, a traffic study, and a letter from 2 residents. Since that time, following items have been added to the city's website: a revised site plan with the conservation easement, an aerial of the site plan, a memo regarding the PDD eligibility, a pre-blast letter and certificates of mailing, separate reports from the fire marshal and the city engineer, and responses from Rose Tizo to the city engineer's report. Ms. Castro, were any other reports, materials, or correspondence received?
No.
So nothing that needs to be acknowledged for the record. Okay,
Not that hasn't been.
right. Okay, so one of the things that we did ask was for clarification on the PDD eligibility, and Attorney Teodoso has joined us. I'm going to recognize him for his comments. Go ahead, Attorney Teodoso. Are you muted?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, go right ahead. You have the floor.
All right. I have not gotten a question directly from the commission. I'm answering a question from your zoning administrator, but I have been advised that the commission wants to know whether or not this project qualifies under a PDD application in our zoning regulations. The first thing I have to make the commission aware of is, in the past, I have represented the applicant, and I just want that on the record so that there is full disclosure here. But with regard to this PDD application, I think that it falls into the first category of PDDs with regard to the SDA areas. If you go to Section A of the zoning regulations, lays out certain areas, and this is part of that area. To carry it forward, though, even if you go under section B, and I'll comment that and doesn't mean that there is a requirement that all of that text qualify every single section, or I should say every single application. The way that regulation is written, you can come in under section A if you're in an SDA area, or you can come in under section B. If you look at it with regard to section B, it is very similar to the last application you had with regard to, I believe it's Shelton Road over there. So. And we've just gotten the aid of the zoning administrator to show both section A and section B. So I guess in summary, because again, I'm answering a question that's not direct, is if your question is, does this project qualify under our PDD sections A and B? I'm going to tell you yes.
Okay. Any questions for Attorney Tedesco from any of the commissioners? Mr. Panico, do you have any questions for Attorney Tedesco?
Not at the present time.
Okay. All right, well then we'll move on. Thank you, Attorney Tedesco, for your participation tonight.
All right. I'm going to sign off, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Go right
Okay.
ahead. Okay, so is the applicant present? Please identify yourself for the record and please proceed with a review of the new material.
Yes, Attorney Dominic Thomas, Cohen and Thomas, 350 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant. And obviously that was one of the requests made in response to my memo. The second thing was, and I'll just refresh you that we received the engineer's report and the fire marshal's report the day before the last hearing. At that time, Mr. Silva then made that the day of the hearing, in response to that, he made changes to the site plan to address some of those concerns. That night, he presented that to the commission and discussed those changes and everything and answered commission questions. And he pointed out, and I pointed out, we both did, that what I had uploaded was before we were given the engineer's report and the fire marshal's report. So Mr. Silva had already addressed a lot of the changes that he had incorporated. He had addressed all the questions from the first public hearing about distances and everything. And so what we did upload was the revised site plans, which basically just added the site plan sheets with those changes that were discussed at the last hearing. So I just wanted to make that clear. That's what it was. There aren't any, and I'll let Manny review that and review those changes that he talked about at the last hearing. And finally, we uploaded, and I'll leave it up to Manny to do, and it can be on the screen. He can screen share, or I can screen share it. He did a paragraph by paragraph response to the city engineer's report. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Silva to address both the plan and his response to the city engineer report.
Good evening, commissioners. This is Manny Silva from Rose Tizo and Company, 35 Brentwood Avenue, Fairfield, Connecticut, representing the applicant as the civil engineer. So as Attorney Thomas had stated, a lot of this was some things that we went over at the last hour at the last meeting, but I'll go over them again. And what I'll do is actually go item by item with the engineering report, at least the things that are relevant for the commission. One of the first comment was to give some more room between the slope or the rock cut that we had here near building. I think this is building J or I. Let me just make sure I'm calling these the right thing. Second. think that's building J. So here near building J, we actually pulled back the rock cut so that it's similar to the rest of the development with 25 feet from the unit to the base of the cut. You can see that here in the grading plan also. The next thing was he asked that we do have an independent geotechnical review of the rock face prior to a building permit, and I said we'd comply. He asked, there was another question about the how the stormwater management plan ties into the existing. Again, when I talked to you last time, I showed you that the size of the pond here in phase 2 is so large, it's been oversized, so that the amount of water that's actually coming into phase 1 is less than 2 CFS, and that's at the 100-year storm. So the effect of this phase 2 on the drainage system in phase 1 is minimal. That discharge actually ranges between 1.4 CFS to 2 CFS, which won't have a negative impact on the intent or the controls of the phase 1 design. In fact, the overall reduction is in the report. We have an overall reduction for the whole development from the existing condition, which is a wooded area going down into River Road. There was a question by the commission and the town engineer to add some guardrails to the curved area here. So we've added a guardrail to the inside here where the area drops down. And then there's a guardrail here to the outside of the curve where the grade is lower on the outside of the curve here, and it's lower on the inside of the curve here. And then, as you know,
Could
we
you,
will,
redo that?
this has always been on the plans, but we will provide,
Silva, could you please use your cursor again? I think it froze on the screen, so we're not sure where you were indicating.
As far as the guardrails are concerned.
Yeah. Okay.
sorry, I'm back. I don't know if it was me or whatever, but I'm back.
Yeah, the cursor froze, so if you could
Yeah.
go above the guardrails again.
Yep. So we added a guardrail to the outside of the curve here where the grade on the outside of the curve is lower. And then as you work your way up, this is actually at grade. And then you come up and then the inside of the curve is where the grade is lower, so that we'll have a guardrail there. And then that what's always been on the plans is that we'll have a black coated vinyl fence up on top of the grade difference between phase 2 and 1 here. And that's here. It'll be a 4-foot high vinyl fence at the top of the vinyl coated chain link fence at the top of the grade difference there. Number 5. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's the how many degrees does that curve go? Is it 180 or?
Yeah, almost. It's just shy of 180. So it'll come up and then almost does a turnaround. As you can see, it's not exactly 180 degrees, but it's pretty close. It's probably 175, 170.
Okay.
It's kind of like what you would use as a switchback, but it's got a very large radius to it, so it's not going to be an issue for anybody driving at the speeds that they're anticipated to drive here.
What about for like U-Haul, the UPS delivery trucks, moving vans? What do we?
Yeah, I wouldn't have any issues with that. I think the radius here is over 100 feet. So as you can imagine, a cul-de-sac would be tighter than this turn.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I could actually give you a measurement here.
Well,
What is the grade of that?
also pointing out the fire marshal has said it's okay for the fire trucks,
Right.
Good.
Mr.
the big
Silva,
one.
Yep.
what is the drop where you're gonna put the fence now from section 1, say section 2? What is the drop down from there?
So we're here you're gonna be at 195. The units are gonna be at 195 up here, and then these units will be down at
Oh,
one.
from the old to the new, the
From
existing
section
to
one
the
to
new.
section two. You said you're gonna have a black vinyl fence around.
Yes, here in this area, correct?
Yeah, what is the drop down to the bottom? To the other condos down below, from those condos.
It's approximately 50 feet from these, from the first floor of the garage floor of these units to the garage floor of these units is a 50-foot difference.
All right, so if you walk out one of the condos in the back, you went to the fence, it would be 50 foot down.
Yeah, you'd have, if you jumped over the fence, there's a rock face that's 50 foot down.
But agreed, isn't it stepped?
Yes, yes. And then, let me see if I could actually pull that up. Yeah, I mean, there were, as you can see here, there's like these, yes, it's stepped. It's kind of tiered. It's a tiered rock cut. And that's how the rest of this one here is, he started cutting it back, but it hasn't been finished, but it's going to be a tiered, as you can see, here's 1 step, 2 step, 3. And that's where the overburden is on the 3rd step. I don't know if you are seeing that actually. Hold on, let me share this again. Here's the foundations of phase 1, and you can see there's 1 step, 2 step, and then 3rd step here, and then there's the wooded area on top. And that's going to be similar throughout the site. I know that the contour, and I explained this in the engineering comments also, even though I'm showing kind of a conservative 1-to-1 slope of the rock here, what the intent is to follow the detail that's on SPZC, and which is going to have the stepped rock cut. To show that in contours would be kind of a exercise in futility. So what it is that basically what the contractor has to do is what he's been doing out there, and is, create a bench rock cut like this. And as you could see in that aerial photo I just showed you, he is achieving that by creating 1 step, 2 step, and then he has the overburden kind of battered back at the top.
So the new parcel, the new section 2.
Yep.
I'll call it section 2. Now, you're also gonna have a step effect behind those condominiums also.
That's correct. That's correct. The same detail applies for all of it.
What is that height? Another what? Another 40 feet, 50 feet up to the
Yeah,
top?
I'll let you know. Hold on, let me just go back to that. So that's on a 210. It's another 40 feet.
Okay.
Yep.
So basically, top to bottom, it's 100 feet where you.
Right. Yeah. The site has approximately, I mean, if you want, that has a peak here. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to say yes, because the area we are developing is that height. Yes. The
Right.
site overall has a much higher, obviously a much bigger drop, but we're not developing the rest of the site. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Silva, can you read the elevations on the bottom left corner there, the last 2 buildings?
Right here.
Up to the left.
Here?
Who's your cursor?
It's coming. Yeah.
Oh, it's a hand. Okay. Slow
Right
down.
here.
Yeah, come lower, down to those 4 down below. Drop your hand down.
So this is 200, 200, 199.25, 199, 197, 197, 165 and a half.
Buildings are superimposed over the elevation. Below that, if you're looking out where the grade, that was right there.
Right here. 210, 220, 230, 240.
It's
Okay,
going
so
up.
it's a 20.
Yeah, that's going up.
Yeah, it's going up from the
Right,
back decks.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's going up 30 feet. There's going to be a 30-foot cut here.
Okay.
It's not actually 40, it's 30. Yep.
All right.
Yep. So the next thing was the sewer manholes to be relocated in the middle of the roadway. I know this commission really doesn't care about sewer manholes, but here they are in the middle. And that shows up on all the plans. the fire marshal and the town engineer wanted a truck truck turnaround here. We didn't have this turnaround here. We thought that the distance of this last little road was enough that you could do the turnaround in this intersection, but we've added one here at the end, just like on the other sections of the on phase one. Added some phase two hydrants. Well, the locations, again, we'll coordinate with the fire marshal on the exact locations, but we showed where we believe they should be. But then I'm sure he'll have some comment on that. The town engineer is talking about also adding some water mains with blow-offs and valves, but that's something that we'll work with the Aquarian on, and we show them. We show a note on our plan saying that we'll coordinate with Aquarian on adding blow-offs and valves accordingly with the meter locations.
Mr. Silva, what's the purpose of those valves?
The blow-off valves. So if you have a water main that comes up to and it just terminates at a dead end, you're going to need a blow-off valve, which is a valve that lets out air but not water. And that's just so that you don't get an airlock on the end of the water main, and then you basically, someone won't be able to get water because, or when they do, they get like this blast of air, and then it causes a water hammer and it blows their fixtures off.
It's a release kind of valve.
It's an air release valve. Yeah.
Air release valve. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Again, number 11, he says the topography is very linear, and that we should be doing the benching, and that's exactly as in detail 6. And that's what I was saying, that to show it in contours is kind of that wouldn't make any sense, and that the developer has been following the detail in SPZC, and that's the intent of the plans. Provide grades on all side roads. So he wanted actually for me to call out the road grades on the profiles, which I have here. You can see 5% is that last little road, and then the main road coming up in that curve is a 10%, and then as you hit the units, it becomes 5%. Like I said last time.
Mr. Silva, I think you need to go back to number 10. I think you skipped that one.
Number 10, the 10% slope.
Yeah, additional room behind building J, providing for greater rock track size.
Oh, right. So that's what I said right in the beginning. We wanted to, the town engineer asked me to pull the base of the rock cut here from building J back because it was closer. It was right up against the decks at one point, and then we pulled it back to the 25 feet that we had on the other units like this. So we did a similar pullback.
Number 13.
13, catch fencing for walk fall protection. And again, we don't have catch fencing. We decided to do a 2-foot earth berm at the rock fall area. And that will be, and how we're doing that is we're making that like an earth berm with some boulders. It's kind of decorative. And you don't have just a physical fence here. But that's to stop, any kind of rock that's coming off of this face from rolling down outside of this rock chop ditch right here, which is gravel with perforated pipe to collect any water that's coming off of it.
Is the nature of that rock wall such that you know pretty well as to whether or not it could split at all, fracture, and pieces come off?
Again, like I said, in the previous application, this is like a very igneous rock. It's not sedimentary like the rock along the Route 8 corridor. The rock down the Housatonic River Valley is very old bedrock, hard volcanic. It's basically volcanic magma that's been cooled. So it doesn't fall or crumble. It doesn't fall apart, kind of like what you see on Route 8. So I don't anticipate the rock falling apart like you see. around Bridgeport Avenue. In fact, there's a rock cut similar to this or even higher that exists, that's existed for probably 100 years now, just adjacent to here on River Road itself. And
Yeah, it sort of has like a brick or stone.
it looks like this. This is it, right? Hold on. I gotta remember to change it. It looks like this, and this has been here forever.
Oh,
So that's what it looks like. It's like a gray, dark gray rock. That's what'll end up happening with ours as it weathers. And you won't get that like on Route 8, which is like a lighter brown sedimentary rock, which kind of like breaks apart.
yeah, it's like all sheets of it come.
Correct.
Come on.
Right. As you can see here, it stands up very straight, but he's going to batter this back. This is an early picture. As you can see here, how it kind of leans, it batters back and it lays back. That's the rest of this is going to be. Yep. Let me just switch.
Commissioner Romano has a question.
Sure.
Report to be done before it's what phase and what happens if that report is not favorable?
Just can you repeat that? I don't think you're kind of far from the mic.
I think you'd mentioned that the city engineer had required a geotechnical report to be done.
Right.
So.
Yep. That would happen after your approval and before any building permit would be issued. So we couldn't do any work without that first.
So if that turns out badly for you.
Then we either have to do mitigation measures like pinning a rock or stabilizing it, or we can't build the buildings at all, one or the other. And then the last three things is just he asked for a fence on top of the rock cut from phase 1 to 2, and that's what we provided. I showed that already. Number 15 is a sewer manhole maintain sufficient depth, vertical separation from water mains, and I said we will comply because we have to coordinate with Aquarian to add the water mains anyway, so that's when we'll do that. The sanitary manholes must be maintained sufficient depth. Okay, this is 16 is basically the same as 15. He asked about 16. He asked about the garbage pickup and why is there no dumpsters shown throughout the site? And the reasoning is because the way the garbage collection is going to work here is that they're going to have bins just like you'd have in the residential neighborhoods in Shelton for each individual unit, and they're going to put it out on their curb. And the garbage truck is going to come on site and pick up the individual bins. There's no centralized dumpster. And I think that's it for me.
Any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Silva? Mr. Panico, how about you?
I was curious about it. Is it a municipal rubbish pickup or private rubbish pickup?
It'll be private. There's no city pickup here. It would be private, like Colonial or somebody like that would come pick it up. They would provide the rubber bins for each unit, and then they would come pick it up with their truck.
Okay. Could you just review one more time the fencing that was in question earlier in your presentation and how it relates to the fencing around the detention area? Is there a gap or are they connected?
They're going to be connected because as you see, the retention pond is basically a depression here we're going to cut back this rock and make a depression here. So the area between the drop between phase 1 and 2, there's going to be a fence right along here as we come up along this plateau, and then it's going to go around the retention pond because the retention pond is obviously a drop down into the water if there is water in there. And then there'll be just a gate here to access for maintenance because this is level with the driveway here.
Will there be need for maintenance between the fence and the top of the slope?
No, no. The only maintenance that's going to be required is this plunge pool that comes out here. There's a little outfall here, and if you might need to take some sand out or whatever. Really, no one sands anymore, so that's not going to be a problem.
Well, what is the ground treatment between the fence and the cut? Is it soil? Is it rock? What is it?
In the retention pond?
No, no, no. The balance of the fence, the protective fence along the top of that 50-foot cut.
So the fence is going to be basically right on top where they're overburdened, which is going to be like a gravel before it gets to. So there's going to be the fence, kind of like a riprap gravel. That's the overburden, and then that's going to be the rock.
So there'd be no vegetation at all up there.
Not between the fence and the rock cut, no. Only above on top of the fence, from the fence to the units.
From the fence to the upper units.
Right. Yeah.
Is there any vegetation between the fence and the bottom of the cut? Or
yeah, there is. There's these the phase one is required to have some arborvitaes planted at the base.
Is there going to be any plantings on the slope? Any of those
No.
steps will not have plantings?
No, just because it's not, as you see here, it's not going to be favorable to. The only way to do that is if we created planter pockets, and I think the planter pockets would cause the rock is going to stand up. It's not going to drop. It's not going to fracture or anything. But if you put a planter pocket in, whatever's in that planter pocket could come down the slope. And I don't think that's a good idea. The only thing that we could do is put some spreading U's on it and see if they grow, if there's enough soil. Because I don't think there's enough soil on here to grow anything. But spreading U might grow its way down the face, kind of similar to what you see here, but
Without any vegetation between the pavement and the non-vegetative cuts and fills.
no, there's no pavement right up to the cuts. I mean, so here, let me pull up kind of a rendering kind of to illustrate that even better. So you're gonna have green space. Well, where is it? It's not loading my green space. It's making me into a liar.
It's green.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. So there's going to be the units and a green space, the fence, and then this white area is just the rock face. Is going to be the cut face between phase 1 and 2. So there's going to be opportunity to plant anywhere between this, where you have paved and building to, you have more than 25, 30 feet to that fence from behind these units. Similarly, you have that down here below. In fact, you have more space on top than you do below.
Well, also behind building number, I can't read the numbers.
I think they're letters.
The one where you changed the back slope, you moved the back slope back.
Yep. Yeah. That's here. So this rendering doesn't show that. See,
that now has a rock face in there, right?
So this is the original. I didn't update the rendering. And then, so now what it is yes, there's going to be, it's going to be 25 feet and then it'll be the grade coming up. So there's a flat area of 25 feet behind these units.
Okay, there's no wall in there then.
No. Nope.
So
it's
then
25 feet of flat and then it goes up. It's going to go up.
There's a strip of rock cut that has no vegetation.
Correct.
So that your green map is not quite accurate.
No, it is. I mean, behind it. Yeah, I didn't show that. Yeah, I didn't show that strip missing behind on the upper, this 40-foot upper cut.
That whole upper area has its own unvegetated strip.
Correct. Similarly to this one here. We're not going to have anything planted on the rock face, no.
And everywhere you've shown contours are cleared areas that will remain cleared areas.
In this portion, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Silva?
Mhm.
Might talk with the applicant about, but there is a place on Victoria Island in Canada that we had the occasion to visit about 4 years ago. It's the site of a former quarry, cement quarry,
Mhm.
and it's Buchart Gardens, spelled Buchart. This was developed about turn of the century. The husband was the president of the concrete quarry, and his wife, after seeing how there was this big hole in the ground with rock ledges, proposed that to her husband that they turn that into display gardens. And she was known for the fact that she went down on those like a swing, that a child's swing that they call it some Siemens thing. And she
Oh,
went
yeah,
down
Yeah.
the side of the quarry and plopped in plants wherever the crevices were.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that can be done.
something there that could be worthwhile. Not that
Yeah,
we want-
because the as you can, like as you guys have seen, I don't know if anybody's been out there, but it does create some flat areas as we do the benching.
Yeah.
Similar to what you see here in the detail. I mean, we could plant stuff along the benches. I mean, but how these appear and where they appear is random, depending on how the rock is broken. But yeah, we can definitely incorporate plantings on flat areas on the face. That'd be a good idea.
Well, look into it. Commissioner Amato had mentioned that maybe the root systems might work their way in and
Mhm.
break the part and create, the rock can create more of a problem. So
Yeah. Yep.
it was just a concept that I saw that,
I'll definitely note it. I mean, I wrote down the park, so I'll research it.
thank you.
Yep.
It's supposed to be I think a 2-hour tour on your own. Or for 6.
Really?
It was amazing. So what else do you have for us, Mr.
I think that
Silva?
was it. I think that was the last thing I had to talk about. So if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mr. Panico?
My most serious concern is that you've got a development that keeps growing and the majority of it is on a dead end situation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you go past that first intersection where at one time we talked about extending the island up to that intersection, for some reason it never got built that way. But beyond that point, it's all dead end.
Okay.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings on a dead end system.
Okay.
And my concern is the dead end system in combination with some rather steep grades and a lot of heavy grading. It causes me some concern.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Attorney,
Your 100, excuse me,
Go
one
ahead.
second. The 180 degree, 170 degree reverse curve, is that where the 10% slope starts? So it's goes up 10%, flattens out to 5 in front of all of the buildings. In other words, the rest of the road is 5%.
Yeah. So it
It's
starts
only
from that.
10%. It's only 10% around the hook.
It's only 10% around the hook, right? Where these parking spaces
Okay.
end.
Mhm.
And then where these parking spaces and this driveway starts, that's the 10% section.
Okay.
I couldn't have any parking or driveways on along a 10% area. I wouldn't
Right.
do that.
Right.
Commissioner Donato, I
Mhm.
just had a question. At the very end there, the green, Mr. Panico pointed out that the green wasn't accurate the way it portrayed, right back there. So there's gonna be a wall there, and then
No, it's rock ledge.
is that gonna be,
That's stepped up.
It's going to be stepped
Yeah, I
rock,
think-
and there's going to be woods behind here. So there's a conservation easement that's being placed here, and this is all going to be wooded area that's going to be wooded in perpetuity due to the conservation easement, and that's going to be about 4 acres of land that's going to be up here.
Could you pull up
I
that
think
page?
also,
It's highly defined in color.
Sure.
yeah, I think also in the issue of the problem with the error was in the color. This was in the color rendering, and Mr. Silva said he had not updated that one building. He had not updated the area behind the building after pushing the rock cut back. That
Right.
was
Correct.
it was related to the color rendering, not the site plans.
Do you
Right.
have the sheet, Mr. Silva, that's SP-1, I'm sorry, SP-0? It's a location site plan?
Yep.
Because that
Yeah.
shows like the satellite view of the site, conservation easement notated, and the where all the trees are.
Right. Yeah, I'll show that right now. Of course, just at the end of the hearing, the Adobe wants to freeze on me, but
I can do it if you.
I got it. I just fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Okay.
does this to me every time. So yeah, as you can see here, this is the phase 1 development in that aerial photo, and then as you come up, you're going to see here that the rock cut areas are open right now, the faces, but these are laid back, these are benched back. That's why you see it that way. And then that's actually going to occur here, and then it'll be just wooded areas around here, and then you'll see that there's quite a bit of woods between us and the neighbors, and that's how it's going to remain.
Do you have the ability to change to like a red pointer and outline the conservation easement?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Absolutely. So the conservation easement is going to be here. This is where our property is. And this is going to be about 4 acres. Let's see, get this right. It's going to come to here. I don't know if, can you see that red?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the conservation easement, 4 acres that's going to be given away, or not given away, but it's going to be a conservation easement for no future development. Given, you know,
Are there going to be any fences up there, or it's just?
there will be a fence at the top of this cut here, that 40-foot or 30-foot drop. So we'll have a fence up there just for fall protection, even though in case someone comes out through the woods running and not looking where they're going.
And by the same token, then, the vegetation is only in the conservation area, huh?
The natural vegetation.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Any other area will be man-made landscaping.
That makes it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Panico?
No. No.
Okay, anything else from any of the commissioners? Okay, Attorney Thomas, anything before I open it up to the public?
No, I think we've addressed all the concerns and the
Okay,
questions.
Very good. I'll open it to the public, and I'll just ask for the record, is there anyone in the auditorium who's an elected official that would like to address the commission on this particular application? I don't see anybody indicating that. And if there's anybody participating via Zoom or by phone, you need to use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 to identify yourself if you're an elected official. Okay, there's no one doing so. So we're going to just ask anybody in the auditorium that's a non-elected official if they want to address the commission. Please indicate that. I see nothing. And going back to non-elected officials, members of the public who are participating remotely, use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9. Okay, and there's nothing according to Ms. Castro. So no comments that need to be responded to. Any further questions from the commission for the applicant? Okay, nothing. I hear Commissioner Lasco, you're good to go.
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Panico. Any final comments or questions?
No.
Okay, so does the commission wish to continue or close the public hearing? We do have 2 regular members absent tonight. They can watch the Zoom or the YouTube replay. So
Yeah, we will keep it open. for that reason, because there wouldn't be any material coming to us.
Right.
What's the difference between this one and Fountain Square?
Close that also.
We did, yeah. So you're talking about closing.
Favorable.
I think we can close it.
All right, very good. So is there? So is there a commissioner would like to make a motion to that regard?
I'll make a motion to close.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly's made a motion to close.
I'll
Is there a-
second it, Commissioner Lascos.
Thank you, Commissioner Lascos, on a motion to close. Public hearing made by Commissioner Kelly, and seconded by Commissioner Lascos. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Donato?
Yay.
Commissioner Amato?
Aye.
Commissioner Donato, Lascos.
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion to close, been approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, Commission.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Good night.
so this item will be on the agenda of an upcoming meeting for discussion by the commission. Final item on the agenda this evening is discussion of holding only remote meetings on Zoom through the winter months, which is the holiday season as well.
Would you excuse me from the balance?
Yes, you go right ahead, Mr. Panico. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the record could reflect that Mr. Panico left the meeting at 7:57 PM. So is there any commissioner that wants to comment on this particular suggestion to go back to remote meetings? For what, November, December, January, February?
Yeah, December, January, February.
Okay,
I agree, as Commissioner Lascos.
okay. So we're talking about December, January,
In February.
and February?
February starts snowy this month.
Yeah, so,
February.
yes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. You
Wasn't
wouldn't have
last
to
year.
cancel meetings or
Right.
worry about canceling them. or-
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right, so there's the motion to go to entirely remote meetings for the months of December, January, and February from somebody.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Kelly on that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Commissioner Amato has seconded. So on that motion to go to remote meetings start for the months of December, January, and February, made by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Amato. I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Lascos,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Donato,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion has passed by a vote of 5-0. And seeing that there is no other item on the agenda, I'll declare the meeting has adjourned as of 7:59 PM.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.